welcome. I'm insanely impressed that you chose this event instead of shashliki on such a sunny weather. But we have a great lineup today, so definitely gonna be worth your time. Today we're gonna have Andrei Doktoroff from Intelligent AI, everything AI related. So please welcome. Yes, please. And we're gonna have Anna Andersson that contributes a lot to the woman empowerment, a lot about the education. So Anna, yes, please. So, yeah. Don't know about you, but I already really willing to learn something about especially AI and how to build stuff. But first let's do the chores. Why we are here? It's product meetup number 14. First of all, thanks Workland for this beautiful venue. If you're looking for a co-working place or place to hang out with like-minded people, this is the spot. And why we are here? Basically, for a while we were thinking like, in my opinion, there is not much stuff happening in Riga in terms of the content, in terms of the community. And we were struggling with it for a bit. And then we decided that, okay, let's build something ourselves. That's why already for the 14th time we are doing this. And this is not about just guest lecturers or people who actually know stuff. It's about the community. So please talk, network, do something, and communicate with each other, as this is important. This is the main reason why we exist. And a bit about Chili Labs. So my name is Vyacheslav. I'm your host, and I'm from Chili Labs. And we do all kinds of stuff related to mobile apps and design. So if you have anything related to that, or just any question, or I don't know, you want to chat about it, yeah, reach out. We will try to help. And as usual, we in search of great talent. So we have 2 great vacancies for the beginners in their journey. So if you are or you know anyone who wants to be a QA engineer, quality assurance, or junior IT project manager, let us know. We will make it happen. So promise a last slide with QR codes. Basically, last year we did a fintech report with 6,000 apps. We parsed through and then summarized with the AI, a lot of data mining. We summarized around 6,000 apps in fintech field from Europe and from USA. What functions work? What color is better? Is the functionality relevant? How it affects the ratings? How it affects the user behavior and stuff like that. So it's around 80 pages long. And this year we're going to do the same. And I assume it's going to be even bigger. So if you want to receive it first, please sign up. And we will send it sometime in June, hopefully. But yeah, a bit of promotion. So let's move to agenda. Basically, we have a first talk with Andrei speaking about practical AI workflows. Yeah, he will tell much better about it. Then we're going to have a coffee break so you can network and chat with each other. Then we're going to have Anna. And please don't leave afterwards. We still have some networking to do. And yes, that's basically it. So, Andrei, please, floor is yours.
So, speak into this one, yes?
Is it good?
Okay. Так. Nice. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Andrei, and we're going to talk a bit about AI today, which is, I think, in all of the screens all the time. But still, I hope we can learn something new. I'm going to talk about more from let's say, founder-manager perspective, because all I do is actually, like, I run companies, I manage departments, I invest, but I don't really like build and code. So we're going to talk about not coding and building, but more about like managing and, let's say, doing a lot of different stuff with AI in, in the workplace. So who am I? Yes, that's me. So I built companies for more than 20 years. I've managed to build some successful ones. Now I ran my own investment company, theIntelligent VC. I focus basically on tech startups, hopefully AI. Also, I run the intelligent space ecosystem, which is like here, but on the 20th floor. And we also try to, let's say, make our ecosystem, make our startup environment more lively. Also running meetups and events and pitch sessions and stuff, so check it out if you are up for it. And also, I'm one of the co-founders of Latvian AI Association, which is still kind of a young organization, but we really want to do something to basically make AI spread more, educate people, like build more companies, create a better environment for companies to be built here. So yeah, I really believe we can, actually. And yeah, my current focus is theIntelligent AI, which is my own startup. And we are trying to build like a GPS for teams to reach their goals. And yeah, so given need, so I'm an investor. So if you have a startup, early stage, you can contact me and we could probably listen and maybe invest. And also, I'm looking for CTO, AI engineer, and a marketing person for my startup at the moment. And yeah, and if you run a team and if you really want to try out what we are building at the Intelligent AI, you can scan that barcode and check it out. It's still very early stage, but if you have a small team, if you use primarily Slack, and if you want AI to help you reach your goals, you might want to try it out, or at least yeah, talk to us about the future we are building. Yeah, now let's talk a bit about AI. So how many of you use AI at the moment? Sweet. What about daily? Very good. Maybe I have nothing to talk about. But how many of you connect your company's knowledge to? OK, good. And how many of you connect tools that you can read and write with different other tools with your chat? OK, very nice. So we have something to talk about. So first of all, I want to talk about more a bit, maybe a little bit about philosophy, but basically, I think it's kind of important. And what I hear from many people is that in the eyes of many, AI must be like some kind of a genie that is going to solve all your problems out of the box. But as we kind of noticed for 2 years already, that it doesn't. That even though it's pretty smart and it can do a lot of things, it's not a genie, and it's not going to do all our work for us. It's not going to make us money. It's not going to print money. We actually have to, like, it's still a tool. It's very smart. It's very new. It's very, like, original, but it's still a tool. And it's a tool that we need to learn to use. And not only learn, I think we kind of have to get used to it. So we have to like really use it a lot to understand the limitations, to understand the power, to see like the boundaries, the limits of what the technology can actually do. And then with time, we kind of get a sense of what kind of material this is, let's say. And yeah, then it starts to get more and more useful. Then we learn more skills. Then we connect more data. Then we experiment with more tools. But what I want to say is like it's really crucial to actually just use it. Experience is key. I haven't seen any use cases where a person just comes, discovers it like a super tool, and then bam, task solved or company built. No. It's a tool that requires learning. It requires experimentation. And yeah, it also requires even some intuition that is also very important. Not just learning like how things work, but also kind of getting a sense of where you can actually use it as a collaborator and where it's actually not the best tool to use. So I encourage everybody to just really use it, try it out in different environments, because nothing is gonna, like no lecture, no book is gonna substitute that. And this is the, let's say, pyramid of AI proficiency as I see it at the moment, roughly. And from my experience, what I discovered. So basically, we're going to talk about all the levels. So first one is prompting. So prompting is basically the easiest. That's how we actually formulate questions and how we basically chat with AI. Then context is all the knowledge, background information, documents, and data that we make available to AI, which increases like the scope and quality of what we can get out. Then there is data. When we connect dynamic data, when we connect CRM, when we connect like external living systems and metrics, we get even more powerful. Why am I seeing different slide? Are you using, excuse me? Ah, okay. Yes, then there is tools. That's basically the ability to connect external tools to AI, which we can read and also actually write and interact with. And then the most advanced is workflows, when we can actually connect different data sources, different tools, different logic, to create the whole processes or even the whole products ourselves. We can go even further, but then I guess we would go into agents, and that's already very technical, quite technical and kind of out of scope of today's talk, but there is stuff higher as well. But even with this pyramid, I think we can get super, super powerful. And yeah, run many companies or many departments or many products. Also, if you have any questions, I encourage you to ask them. Or if you want me to demo something, I would be happy to show how I do stuff. But yeah, let's go through each level now. So prompting. Prompting in general, I think, is a pretty simple one. I think prompt engineering, as you have probably heard, is highly overemphasized topic. In my experience, you don't really need, for 99, maybe 95% of the cases, you don't need any prompt engineering. Actually, the models are pretty smart already. You just need to really use natural language and just experiment and iterate. like complex prompts and templates and everything else. To be honest, I don't use it almost never. But what I use actually, so I want to give just a couple of tips here because I think it's pretty straightforward. First one that really helps my flow and let's say is voice mode. Voice mode or voice typing. Basically on mobile devices you can probably natively have this voice typing or talking to AI assistants, but on desktop you don't really have that. Or built-in Windows is pretty bad. So what I found is Whisperflow, the first QR code, is actually the best tool I found for voice typing. It basically gives you ability to type with your voice, but really, really like accurately. So it really like listens to you, understands, and then gives a good sentence. So it's actually the only tool I've tried that actually works. And for me personally, like being able to just speak, to have that more natural conversation, yeah, makes the process easier and more productive. And the second one tip that I use is basically for processes that are important that you can do like several times. So for some important tasks that require certain consistent formatting, or if you are building like, I don't know, writing a book or some documentation, I actually do use these structured prompts, but I call them actually like frameworks. And the second QR code is an example of that. That, for example, this is the framework that I use. Maybe I can show it. Or maybe not. Anyway, if you're interested, just scan the QR code. But basically, it's a document that contains more detailed instructions of how I want AI to process my request. So basically, what kind of theory to use, what kind of steps to take, give some examples of good output, give some examples of like bad output, provide a checklist to check the resulting output, etc. So for example, if I'm building like a big project with, I don't know, 20 parts, but all the parts have the same formatting, I would use something like that. And obviously you use AI to create that as well. So basically I was building, for example, a framework to build business models. And then basically I created a framework of how I want each chapter to be built. And then basically I went through all the steps and created the big document, which I later used in the workflow. So that's it for prompting. Just do it an experiment. Next one. Next one is context. And for me, to be honest, this is like the most important topic and the single most valuable thing that is going to improve your quality of output by far. And that is context. Basically, all the knowledge, all the data that you give AI about your situation in question. So if we think about it, what is the biggest difference between basically AI and even a junior colleague at work? The difference is that human, even if he doesn't have that much skill or doesn't have like a PhD or all the intelligence, just really knows a lot of nuances and a lot of context. He knows what kind of company it is. He knows like what you do. He knows his responsibilities. And actually, if we think about it, like anyone on our team knows just so much which is not written anywhere. And that's why, in many cases, it's just so much faster to do stuff on our own or give to somebody and not actually automate it. But by closing the gap of that context that we give the models, we can really make many more use cases, many more processes. Let's say delegate them to AI, make them automated, etc. And for me, it was a game changer because I have to manage like several companies and support several startups. And to be able to do that, I really have to switch context very often. And for all the tasks, basically, it's critical for me also let's say, for my AI assistants to know when I switch that context. What's this company about? What's that company about? Where is it? What kind of products, etc. And for that, I built knowledge bases. And what I encourage you to do is basically create some structured way to gather data about your company, about your product, about your role, about your project, and basically have it stored somewhere, better in some central locations like Google Docs, so that your team can keep it alive, so that you can basically update the data, put more and more data in, and then basically link it to your favorite AI, be it Claude or Gemini or OpenAI, whatever. And then basically you open up all these possibilities when AI will know everything or most of it, what you need to know for certain tasks. To make your life a bit easier and to give you some examples, I have two suggestions. One of them is a Google Docs. The first QR code is a Google Docs template that I personally use for all my companies, which basically contains questions about all the departments of a typical business. And what you can actually do, which is very convenient in Google Docs, I'm actually going to show it because it's very important. I'm going to show a live example. For example, yeah, so this is the template that you're going to see. It's empty, and it has this, each of the function of the companies contains the pages. And the live document that we, for example, use is like this. That, for example, under strategy, we can create more tabs and basically put more and more documents there. And basically build the whole knowledge base for our company in one place, shared, where everybody can update, comment, revise, etc. And if we ask somebody something to AI, we can just link it, and boom, AI knows everything about your company, can create your deck, can analyze your plans, etc. And the second option is easier, and it's an app called Theo, which is proudly made in Latvia, which is a second QR code, which basically makes this process a bit easier and works very simple. You give it a website and upload any of the documents you have about your company, product, whatever, and it extracts all the data and creates a similar knowledge base for you. And then you can edit in their own interface. It also provides some suggestions what things need improvement, etc. But it's also a very fast and convenient way, which you can also connect. They have tutorials how to easily connect it to Claude or ChatGPT, or even API. But it's actually a great tool. You can use it to start very fast. Yes. So I personally, I structure for all my companies, I have separate projects. I personally use Claude. All the projects have connected Google Doc knowledge base to it. And all my teams, they basically keep their knowledge in one place linked. And then all of us can have these really fruitful conversations with our assistants with all the knowledge available. Questions so far? No? No? Yes.
How
how do you ensure that ChatGPT does not lose context? Because the more information you feed to him, he starts to hallucinate and forget the stuff that you said to him previously.
Yes, you avoid that by not having long chats. But actually for ChatGPT, is not the best for working with context. Because the problem with ChatGPT, even though it has projects, in projects you cannot link a Google Doc. You have to link a Google Doc to each chat, which is not very user-friendly, or it doesn't really, it's not convenient. In Claude, you create a project and you link a Google Doc there and then have many smaller chats, because all of them will lose context eventually if you have these huge chats. So but for me, it's actually, yeah, I always just switch and just add small pieces to the context, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of practical implementation, when you create knowledge document like Google Drive, that Google Doc that you shared earlier, do you create it already with AI, or you just really have spent hours writing it manually, or it's already kind of a, why I'm asking that would it affect, and I believe it can potentially affect how it all then gives the context to any AI, because one AI would summarize your thoughts or your documents like Theo does well for ChatGPT, but maybe not so well for Claude.
No, I don't think it's an issue. Again, the model here is just a framework. It's a template. Then you answer these questions yourself or with the help of AI. Doesn't really matter. Just make sure that you read it afterwards that it's factually correct. But there is no way like any model would understand it differently, because all of them are very smart already, and there is no big difference in comprehension.
Yeah. Well, what's your opinion on locally based large language models different from using online? In other words, it's downloaded on your local system.
Well, for me, it's just no necessity yet, because I'm not very privacy cautious. I'm not afraid to lose that data just for the sake of being just faster. But yeah, I think it's more of a case for enterprise or for any sensitive data that's required. But again, it's just a bit more difficult to implement technically. But overall, I think, again, it gets easier and easier by the day, because open source models are also very good, and you can local host them easy. Just it's not as fast and as flexible, I'd say.
Yeah, connecting to the previous question, would you suggest, in the grand scheme of things, to use either this approach that you just described, Google Drive, Google Doc, or actually download locally some open source model and train that? Because obviously, kind of seems the second would be,
but again,
in the grand scheme of things, in the long term, better solution. Yeah, more technically difficult, but.
Yeah, but training your own model on such a small piece of data like your company knowledge base, again, for smaller companies, is just not viable. I don't think it makes any sense. While it fits in the context window of these standard chats, I don't think we need to bother. When we have huge projects and we really have big amounts of data, we want the model to know specifically, then yes, that's the second approach, but it's just much harder. Yes?
I have a question about your approach to describe where you play Google Drive with Cloud project. Do you have some kind of issues with version controls when these documents get updated and you lose something, or you don't know what gets updated and you start working with new information, or how do you approach that?
No, but versioning is done very well in Google Docs itself. That's actually a good thing about not using just uploading files, because then it's a total mess. If you upload and then versioning is crazy. But in Google Doc, you have versions already. You can check all that.
So when you start working, let's say, or you switch context in your company, you ask for some kind of summary about what was happening, let's say, to the new. new version and the last one you visited
To be honest, I didn't have like such use case specifically. I usually kind of know what happens in the docs, or I just didn't bother with the changes. But I don't think that chat will know. I don't think it understands different versions inside a doc. So if that's, I don't think it will happen. But then probably, again, maybe Gemini inside Google Docs can do that, but not sure. OK, let's move on, if that's it. Then context. I was more talking about the knowledge and static data. And then there's dynamic data, which obviously is kind of similar, but also a bit different, a bit more advanced. It's basically when you connect more alive sources of data to your chats. So basically when you connect metrics, financial or usage, or basically any data that is alive, or maybe a CRM where the statuses change, or like your product or e-commerce system where basically all that changes. Again, that's kind of more technically complicated for now, but while it is getting easier. But here I was just, again, suggest to pay attention to just managing your data, because even though for now it might be like difficult to connect, for example, Claude doesn't connect Google Sheets yet. But again, in a month, 2, 3, it will. So for now, I would just encourage everybody to really manage their data well. Try to kind of keep it in place where you know where it is. Keep it in kind of central between the team members. And yeah, try also connecting it and asking assistance for help. Then practical tools, basically, again, Google Drive integration. Same as with a static context. What I also suggest is actually record all your meetings, or at least all your important meetings. Probably most of you are already doing that. But this is also very valuable context that can help, for example, helps in management. When you can quickly go to a meeting, extract some information. For example, what I usually do when I have business meetings or client meetings, I just upload the transcript in the bot I created and gives me a very structured entry for my CRM. So I don't really have to remember what this person does, what we agreed, etc. It takes everything from the transcript, copy and paste, boom, I saved myself, 15 minutes of time. And many more use cases here. Google Meet has native recording, but only in English. I use Loom personally, which is the QR code here. But yeah, there are many options, but I encourage you to do it. And then other integrations we're going to talk about a bit later. Then tools. Now that AI, we know how to prompt, we give it good questions, then it knows all about us and about our companies with context. It knows what's going on with all the dynamic data. Now, unless we have tools, we can only chat with it and it only gives us text or image answers. But what it can also do, it can also read and write from external sources. And now it's getting easier and easier to do that by the day. What is available for now, and is very simple for all of us to use, is web search, and deep research is almost in all of the apps available for everybody. Hopefully you're using it. What they started to do is Claude and Gemini have, and actually ChatGPT as well, I think. Now they have connection to Google Workspace, where they can actually read, Claude can read, and Gemini can actually read and write to your Google Workspace apps. So basically email, calendar, notes, tasks, what else? basically the main ones. And Claude, you can ask, what do I have on my calendar? If I have that meetings, if I don't have that meetings, what's that person sent me as an email? But unfortunately, you cannot yet ask it to do anything, like write something. But you can do that in Gemini, which is Google's AI. And for me, it's actually very cool because I manage all my time via the calendar. And I used to ask my human assistant to book me some meetings or put some stuff in the calendar, book flights, etc. Now I can do it in like seconds with the Gemini. And it's super convenient. You can basically even, for example, recently I booked tickets and I just made a screenshot from Air Baltic confirmation of both flights, put a screenshot in the Gemini and said, add to my calendar, done. So really cool, like these small things, but again, they make our life easier and more convenient. That basically you can ask it to assign tasks, create notes, manage calendar, super convenient. Also, it's going to have soon YouTube connection that you can ask to summarize videos, etc. So it's really, really cool. And then on the more advanced side of things, we have MCP, if you've heard about it, which is a model context protocol, which is something like an API, but for AIs. It's basically a protocol that AIs use to connect with all the external tools. So MCP is getting support in already in Claude Desktop. They were the creators, the Anthropic Claude of the MCP, but now other tools are also incorporating it. It's a bit technical to set up. You have to you can only do it in desktop Claude, and you have to go into some developer settings, but it's still pretty easy. Like if you watch a tutorial, anybody can do it. And what it allows you to do is basically connect now almost any of the tools that we use, SaaS tools, to Claude, to both reading and writing, kind of, and as API does. And you get these servers from many providers, for example, from Zapier, MCP, which is the link here. But actually, there are plenty. So all you need to do is find the tools that you want to connect with, get this small piece of code, put it in the Claude or other client settings, and you'll be able to do the same as I described with calendar. Basically, read to the database, write to the database, create stuff. And again, it makes you so much more powerful than you need to do less clicks. You can assign these clicks to AIs, and they can do it faster, and you don't have to do it. And now the last one, the most advanced top of the pyramid for today is workflows. And workflows is for those who want to go a bit even more advanced and basically start building these processes with connecting different tools, connecting different prompts, connecting different models into these flows that they take input from somewhere, they apply logic, take it somewhere else, etc. And here I give you 3 tools that actually are gradually getting more complicated. But first one is very easy and it's free for now, so I encourage you to try it. Hunch Tools is very beginner friendly. Basically, it allows you to build these flows of logic, and it only has 2 blocks. It has content, basically content, just text that you paste, and AI block with all the models that you can imagine, basically to process the data. And then you kind of connect different nodes and create whatever logic you would like to create. And it's very simple to use. It's straightforward, but it can give you, it also already gives you a lot of power to create these more complicated and more sophisticated workflows to get some work done. For example, I can show you an example of what I did for myself, just so that for some understanding of how this works. So this is Hunch. So basically, you build these logical chains or workflows for stuff. So this one is for turning an idea into a business model. So basically here, I just input the idea just with text. And then I basically connect it to the next node, which is AI, but it takes my idea and it takes instruction, like a framework that I was talking earlier. For example, here, how to formulate target market for an idea. And here I have this whole practical guide that I created, how I want this to be done. And then I connect both of them to AI node. And basically I say, for that idea, use the guide and create me a target market. And it creates me several hypotheses of the target market. And then I say, OK, we have target market. Let's do jobs to be done analysis. Again, I have a guide. I have data from previous nodes. And basically, it goes all in all. And then, again, whatever you wish, you can create the whole big or small workflow like this. You can create images. You can create posts. Again, your creativity is not limited here. But yeah, it's a great next step, and it's a great first step to try with these more sophisticated workflows. Then intermediate, if you want even more functionality, if you want to connect some external data, if you want to connect some tools, then I would suggest Gumloop, which has also quite user-friendly interface, a very good guide to learn it. But there you also have not only AI nodes, but you can also connect different tools. Like many of them, like Notion, Docs, again, plenty. And there you can also take data, prompts, combine it in all the ways you want. And if you want to get really technical and start building agents and be super specific, then NA10 is the most popular choice. But it will require some coding skills. But it's also great. It can be self-hosted, so very, very powerful tool. Yes. But again, to build these workflows, also very important to have data available, to have integrations organized. Because one thing is to want, but another thing is to have all the pieces available, all the pieces prepared, which is usually the bottleneck, not the tools. Then to sum up, the assistants, the most popular ones are, this is my review. I personally, most of the time, I still use Claude, because for me, it provides the best way to manage context, because in project, I can link a Google Doc, and I cannot do it anywhere else. In ChatGPT, you only can upload to projects, which, again, files get old. It's not convenient. In Gemini, you have to create a custom bot for that, which is also not convenient. For tools, it's not bad. It doesn't read and write for Google Workspace like Gemini does. But it has MCP native on desktop, and it can read from Google Workspace, also great. In that respect, ChatGPT is also limited in my view. Web search and deep research come into Claude, but not yet. ChatGPT, Gemini, yes. For that, they win. And for custom bots, if you want to create those, then obviously ChatGPT is definitely the best. So basically, custom GPT is actually a very, very good product and much better than Gemini. And in Claude, you don't have them at all. But I think looking in the future, I see myself using Google more and more because they are just pumping out features like crazy. And yeah, getting like super smart in their models. They have these tools, they like generate podcasts and very good image generation coming. And I don't know if you've seen, like yesterday they unveiled like super cool features and plenty of them. So in the future, I would say if you want to pick one, Google might be the winner. For now, it's Claude for me, yes.
Have you tried this Chinese stuff with Google?
Yes, I did. The model is good. I like the answers, but again, it doesn't have the context. Convenient how to link like Google Docs and stuff. It doesn't have tools. It has some search. It doesn't have bots. So yeah, the model itself is good, but the product, the user interface, and the features are not there. So I don't use it much.
What kind of businesses are you like leveraging on? Is this only digital businesses like SaaS, or is it also something that humans are needed to deliver actually services? Because you mentioned Theo, for example. In my opinion, this company is good itself, but then what they do is basically all these models already inside. So it's a question of time when GPT or ChatGPT, Cloud, or Gemini will release exactly these services on the click in the models. And it's maybe less time than we think, because then
Yeah, I think that's the best question. That's the single most important question for all the AI startups, is when a ChatGPT is going to eat them. So yeah, well, I manage different companies that are not even connected to AI. So my processes are mostly around people. Again, I'm not like building products or processes myself. All the stuff I do is actually with managing people, doing like strategy, models, and stuff. So Theo, I don't really manage. It's not my company. I invested in it. It's made in Latvia, but it's not mine. But I think it still has some potential that it can differentiate from these guys doing it. But obviously, yes, there is a risk. Because yes, like foundational models are really, like because AI is so universal, they can just do so much by themselves, these big companies. And that's why I think Google is in such a good position, because it already has such a huge ecosystem of tools, and it has so much data about you, and it can make it all very convenient for users because it knows so much about users. And as I said, context, what AI knows about you and your situation is key, because it gives so much more power to intelligence. Yes.
So not in the context of implementing AI tools within a business, but I guess like 99% of AI users, you have asked it how to become a billionaire tomorrow. And what do you think in general about the skills of AI tools to actually brainstorm? Yes, with the context, it's definitely will be working better, which is one of the main things that you try to share with us. But do you brainstorm with AI tools, or you feel like humans are still humans and do it better?
No, I still brainstorm with AI tools for sure. The problem is it can generate obviously a lot of good ideas. But generating a lot of good ideas is just a super, super small step. And it's so interesting like how many nuanced thinking goes on in our heads when we do something. For example, even if the big scheme that I created, if I just let it run with very good theory, very intelligent models, create me a business model, it will still create a pretty bad one. And when you look at it, like it's logical, but how to, because it has like a lot of these small things. Okay, that segment is obviously not there, cannot be here, because like we are here and we're at that stage, we cannot capture them yet. Like a lot of these small things that we know about our situation, our team, our capability that it doesn't know. In theory, it might sound good. In reality, crap. That's why the more steps anything takes, the bigger this hallucination or error rate or etc. That's why all these funny videos like clickbaits, especially in the beginning of AI, oh, it creates a business for you, etc., and they're showing that it generates this whole mind map of stuff. Yes, it does, but it will never work. Why? Because of super many small things that for now are not captured in the process and are only in our heads. So yeah, I'm getting close. But yes, I think we can close here. The last slide is not important.
No, it's we can listen on and on and on and on, but thank you very much to Andrei. Yes, yes, some sweets for you and some extra presents. But yeah, let's get some air. Andrei is, I hope he's not leaving right away, so you will be able to have a chance to talk. But yeah, we are on the time, so sorry about that. But yes, see you in 15 minutes. Let's get some air, get some drinks. Please talk.